Hello. In this video, I hope to give you a brief introduction into student or mentee evaluation and assessment. Evaluating others is something that not all of us feel very comfortable with, but perhaps that's a good thing. As a trainer or as a mentor, we often have significant influence on the professional development, but also the level of recognition that people have that are learning with us. In what follows, I hope to give you examples and principles that will help you make student or mentee assessment something that will be beneficial and motivating, both for you as a trainer, but also for your students. Before we look at some principles of evaluation, here are some common reactions to the topic of student or mentee evaluation. I don't feel comfortable with evaluating others. I don't know how to be objective. Is it worth obliging people to memorize information they are bound to forget again? I never know what to include in a test. Is it even realistic to think we can assess someone's competencies through evaluation? There's simply no time for evaluation in my already busy course schedules. Student evaluation consists of random test questions which do not really show what someone has really learned. Student evaluation is an arbitrary, harsh, and final assessment of performance which overly encourages or discourages learners, depending on how well they fit the system. Student evaluation can assess knowledge, but it cannot assess someone's skills or competencies. Adults are motivated enough to assess their progress for themselves. While all of these concerns are legitimate, I hope that this video will help you see evaluation as something that is not only beneficial for both learners and trainers or mentors, but also essential, an integral part of an ongoing cycle of planning your teaching, measuring progress, and improving the learning that's happening. Here are a few objectives of evaluation which I think draw out the benefits of student or mentee assessment. Evaluation can help set goals and provide clarity to learners. It can make room for errors and for assistance. It can encourage self-assessment. It encourages critical thinking and applied knowledge and skills. It encourages interpersonal skills if designed well. It provides an equal opportunity to demonstrate growth because of a variety of approaches, making sure that no one is discriminated against. It helps learners move from simple tasks to higher levels of independence and confidence. To ensure that our approach helps learners grow, we must help them move from simple to more complex skills and knowledge. To do this, we must find a good balance between what is called formative and summative evaluation. Formative evaluation is done through tasks that are fairly specific and easy to complete. Note here that evaluation is much more than simply evaluating someone. Rather, it is about defining the skills and tasks that are required to grow progressively. Much assistance is given throughout the completion of formative assignments, as well as constructive feedback. In fact, often either no grade is given at all, or grades don't have a lot of weight with regard to overall performance. Once foundational skills have been acquired through formative assignments and feedback, these skills are combined with new skills to reach higher skill levels. Again, these new skills are very specific, and acquiring them means providing ongoing assistance and feedback, while also making room for learners to become more independent. To summarize, formative evaluation is about providing tasks which clarify short-term goals, specific skills or knowledge within the reach of learners. Formative evaluation tasks help learners to progressively build their skills. They also make room for assistance and feedback, and they allow both learners and trainers to monitor progress on an ongoing, regular basis. And finally, formative evaluation tasks are success-oriented to build self-confidence in learners. Before we look at summative evaluation, it might be helpful to clarify the difference between a regular exercise or assignment and a formative evaluation assignment. Perhaps a good way of explaining the difference is that some exercises or assignments are also formative evaluations, while others don't fall into that category. In essence, some exercises or assignments simply define a task that has to be completed, often allowing the learner to discover or practice something new. The way the task is completed is less important and may involve the help of others or not. Feedback may be given, but it may mainly serve the purpose of encouraging the learner and confirming that the task was completed. However, as soon as an assignment involves clarity of goals and evaluation criteria, accompanied by controlled assistance and feedback to monitor growth, we are beginning to move towards formative evaluation. In such assignments, it becomes clear that the emphasis is on goal setting and evaluation of progress with short-term skills. If you're watching this video as part of a course, may I encourage you to now pause this video after each of the following 3 questions and take some time for reflection. Do you tend to give assignments to encourage discovery and practice without defining specific goals and evaluation criteria? In your work as a mentor or trainer, can you see ways in which you might be able to improve your use of formative evaluation assignments? In your work as a mentor or trainer, what are some good ways for communicating formative evaluation assignments? What are the benefits of oral versus written instructions for you or your learners? Once learners have been given much support to develop their skills, it is important to measure how independently they are able to make use of their newly acquired skills. This is where summative evaluation comes in. Summative evaluation are tasks which allow learners to demonstrate mastery of newly acquired skills without any assistance. For this reason, summative evaluation tasks are designed to assess mastery of both short-term and long-term knowledge and skills. They allow for a standardized comparison between different learners. They provide a basis for certification or for performance reports for supervisors or sending organizations. And ideally, they should allow for collaboration between different trainers in order to improve objectivity. There are no fixed rules about the ratio of formative versus summative evaluation, but let's look at an example from media training. Imagine you are designing a course on how to produce radio spots. To build foundational skills in your students, you could, for example, cover the following skills via formative evaluation assignments. Knowing how to cut and paste audio using audio editing software. Knowing how to find and import sound effects into your software. Knowing how to do multi-track editing to combine 4 key elements into a radio spot, such as a mini drama, narration, music, and sound effects. Remember, these 3 formative evaluation assignments probably don't represent all your assignments. You may well want to give additional assignments to your students in between, which are not evaluated and less structured, simply to help them explore and practice new skills. After having acquired new skills in these 3 areas, it is probably useful to do a summative evaluation to see how independently your students are able to make use of these new skills. Because summative evaluation is about independence, it is always a good idea to include an element of critical thinking or creative application in your summative evaluation. Otherwise, your learners are very likely to perform exceedingly well without any reliable evidence of them being able to apply what they have learned to the realities they face in their work. In our example, you could, for example, ask the students to record and edit a new radio spot on a new topic of their choice, which includes 6 as opposed to 4 sound elements. Completing this task without any help from you will provide you with valuable insight into how well each learner has acquired the new skills and if they are able to apply them to real needs. Another reason why it is a good idea to plan a summative evaluation before the end of the course is that summative evaluation can help you identify skills which you did not explain well, as everyone struggles with them. This is rare because formative evaluations usually help you catch general difficulties in understanding early on. However, sometimes the unassisted summative evaluation assignments highlight general lack of understanding in one area or other, which you did not expect. This then allows you to provide specific help in those areas as a next step. For example, it may be that you see the need to design a formative evaluation assignment on voice acting, as students struggle with this during their recording task, before continuing to build other new skills such as recording in dynamic situations, scripting and recording mini dramas, and facilitating a planning session to develop a radio spot for a partner. Again, your formative assignments and feedback will allow your students to add new skills to their already existing skills, preparing them for their final summative assignment, which will be to develop and produce, without assistance, an entire radio spot for a partner. As you see in this example, the various formative assignments build on each other, while the summative assignments combine them all in a creative task of applied skills. Also, this example shows that it is possible to include interpersonal skills in your summative evaluation, as this is a foundational competency in applying skills in work contexts. As we see here, formative evaluation assignments are generally more frequent than summative evaluations. However, as formative assignments aim to be encouraging success experiences, they should not be given too much weight in overall performance. In our example, 8 formative assignments add up to 40% of the final grade or performance, while the remaining 60% of the final performance is measured in terms of applied skills. There are no strict rules about how to balance out formative with summative evaluation, because planning and weighing different evaluation elements must take into account the specific objectives and nature of a course or of a series of training sessions. However, let me highlight how getting the balance wrong can have a negative impact. If you use only formative assignments or give them too much weight, this can result in being overly optimistic in what your students can do, or in exceedingly high grades. Because such grades do not represent independent applied skills, sending organizations or supervisors may be overly optimistic in terms of the tasks or responsibilities their staff can handle after their training. Also, as a result, some students will overestimate themselves, which tends to happen with weaker students or students with lower study skills. Stronger students, on the other hand, can sometimes feel frustrated with this kind of evaluation because they do not feel they have earned the high grades they have received, or because they do not feel that these grades represent what they are able to demonstrate in terms of applied skills. Another common error in evaluating others is to assess performance only based on summative assignments. These are often less frequent, meaning that both students and teachers cannot measure growth regularly enough, which means that summative assignments end up being either too difficult or too easy, both of which is usually frustrating for adult learners. And even where summative assignments are regular enough, they do not provide the safety and assistance that comes with formative evaluation. In my view, finding the balance between formative and summative evaluation assignments is the very basis for good competency-based learning. However, I also realize that you may object in one of the following ways. In my field of capacity building, skills are not as easily measurable. Or, in my field of capacity building, skills are so measurable that you either get it right or wrong. I find it hard to rank performance at different levels. If this is your gut reaction, I'd like to end this video by encouraging you to consider the following. Evaluation is about creatively designing tasks which allow you to define, build, and measure skills. In other words, you are not bound by traditional evaluation approaches to help your students grow and to assess their progress. Here are some approaches which might inspire you for specific areas of learning. For example, if you want to promote knowledge, there's nothing wrong with using the traditional approach of tests or exams. Multiple choice tests or exams with open questions to promote critical thinking and application can go a long ways in assessing and encouraging knowledge. And remember, Such tests do not necessarily need to be completed in written forms. There are other ways such as oral tests or recorded responses in audio or video format. However, if you want to promote and measure skills which have to do with technical skills and managing processes, you may want to use a project-based evaluation approach, which requires that learners find a solution to a specific problem or complete an entire project to demonstrate their technical or software skills, as well as other management skills. If in your domain of work, finding, analyzing, and presenting information is important, you can ask learners to present a written or recorded response or to journal their thinking with regard to different resources such as articles, videos, or audio resources. You may also want to add a communication or interpersonal element to your evaluation by assigning communication tasks such as presenting on research outcomes in person, virtually, through audiovisual content, as well as by facilitating group discussions. You may also be able to ask advanced students to design their own research or survey, or to create educational content such as a tutorial video or a set of instructions to demonstrate their ability to find and present information and interact with others. These are only some examples to encourage you to think creatively in terms of the design of your evaluation assignments. We have reached the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you want to take some time for reflecting on the second part of the video, feel free to pause this video after the following 3 questions. In your field of work, what are the specific challenges in making growth measurable? How might you design assignments that fit the needs of learners? How do you manage the balance between giving assistance with specific simple tasks and giving assignments that help learners become more independent? In your work as a mentor or trainer, can you see ways in which you might be able to improve the balance between formative and summative assignments?